you're probably burning money on tasks that a cheaper model handles just as well. You don't need the latest model for every task. In this video, I'll show you an architecture pattern that will build better features and save money, plus an open source model that makes this pattern even more compelling. If you're building AI applications, you need to think about two different types of workloads and two different types of models. One is what we will call the orchestrator. This is the one that plans, and then you need a workhorse model that is actually building your features. People tend to use this orchestrator for every task, but that is going to cost you a lot more money. Usually it's slow and it doesn't really scale well. So here's how this design pattern works. Let's say if you have a very complex task that you want to solve, you first want to use the orchestrator or a big model like Opus to divide this into very well-defined subtasks, for each one of them with very well-defined success criteria. Then you can give this task to a workhorse model, a model which is much faster compared to this orchestrator and a lot less expensive. These specialized workhorse models are getting really good, especially when it comes to coding. Once the implementation is complete, then you want to use the orchestrator or a bigger model to review, provide feedback, and assemble the final results. This architecture is not only going to save you money, but it's going to be a lot faster to implement. You always want to use the right model for the job. Now, if you're looking for an open source workhorse model, then Minimax M2.1 is a great option. Even the creator of OpenClaw recommend using it with OpenClaw. So when they reached out to sponsor this video, I was actually excited about it. Now, Minimax M2.1 is one of the best open weight coding model, especially for its size. This is a 230 billion parameter model, so potentially you could run this on your own cluster. It's not a trillion parameter model, so it's extremely fast compared to some of the other open source offerings, with very strong agentic coding capabilities. When it was released back in 2025, it was actually one of the best open weight model on agentic coding. So if you're looking for an open weight workhorse model, it can be a great alternative to some of the closed models like Gemini Flash or Cloud Haiku. It's available on Hugging Face with fully open weights. Not only that, but the API cost is also very competitive in comparison to the other workhorse model. They also released a multi-agent system built on top of the MiniMax models called MiniMax Agent. It can work very similar to Claude Cowork. So you can download this and it can take actions on your computer. It has very similar capabilities to some of the other offerings. So let me show you how it works in practice. So this is the MiniMax Agent Desktop application. It's very similar to Claude Cowork because it can take actions on your computer. So here's a quick example. I asked it to tidy up my downloads folder. So it looked at all the different file types. Then here's the recommended structure. I asked it to go ahead and organize everything based on that. And here's how the new structure looks like. But the real power is using this open source model for collaborative software development. So it uses this multi-agent system that can build pretty powerful software. Now they have two different models. One is Minimax M2.1, and they also give you access to Gemini 3.0 Pro here. For this example, we're going to be just using the Minimax M2.1 model. And you can select which folder you want to use for development. You also have sub-agents. These are dedicated sub-agents that the system provides. You can connect MCPs. Now let's try to build something fun. We're going to build a full stack web application where the user will be able to provide a text prompt, generate images using Nano Banana, and then will be also able to modify them through text prompts. Build a full stack application where the user will be able to provide a text input. The system is going to use Nano Banana API from Google to generate 4 different images. Then the user should be able to select one of them, provide a subsequent prompt to modify that image. Make sure you use the REST API. Do not use any SDKs. Okay, so I am going to provide a reference to where it can find the documentation. Okay, so right now it's going through the setup. Now, not sure if it's actually reading Google API key from my environment variables, but it's interesting that it found one. And just a side tip, if you're building anything with Nano Banana or any other SDK that has a REST API, I highly recommend to use the REST API rather than the SDK. This is going to save you a lot of headache. Now, while it's working on this, you can also create another session or new task, so you can work on multiple things in parallel, which is actually a very neat feature. Also, there are some pre-built experts as well. These are essentially prompts or multi-agent systems that people have built that you can just utilize, which is pretty neat. Okay, so I actually do need to provide the API key because I think it's using an older version that I probably have set up somewhere. You can also look at all the files that it has created, but it's not designed as an IDE. It's really more of a collaborative software development system where you just prompt the agent and they can take actions on your behalf. Now, right now, I think it's building everything for us. And in the process, it's also testing everything. So since I'm using the image model, I need to provide an API key from the paid account, not the free account. So not only it wrote code, but it also actually tested it because it has this multi-agent system in place. So let's actually test it out ourselves. So here's the app that it created. The UI can definitely use some work, but I think it's simply a matter of iterating with the model, especially if we have access to Gemini 3 Pro in the agent itself. So we can just ask it to do something. Can you create an image of a llama? Okay, it's sending requests. Okay, we already got an image. That was actually pretty fast. Now it did not create 4 images. We asked for 4 different images, but let's select that one. Change the background to snowy mountains. Neat. It actually changed the background, which is pretty awesome. And it kept the original llama in its place. So pretty neat. Now we can work with the agent to make these changes. In the initial pass, you're generating only 1 image. We need 4 different images and the user should be able to select one of them. Okay, so this time it actually created multiple different images that we can select from. Okay, so I asked it to put Golden Gate Bridge in the background. It's able to do it, but I don't really like the UI. This is where we can create dedicated scales or even sub-agents. So I'm going to create a new sub-agent. We're going to use the actual description of the front-end design scale from Anthropic. You can also add some built-in tools or your own MCP tools. So right now I included browser tool, web development, and certain file operations. So we're going to just confirm this. So for this, I created a new task because you want to add these sub-agents in the start. So I am going to add my front-end sub-agent. We're going to navigate and select that project folder. I'm still using the Minimax M2.1. We're going to send this in. Okay, so here's the updated website. It added these built-in prompts that you can play with, which is neat. Let's actually generate 4 images, and it also added this pretty neat animation while you were waiting. Although this doesn't change. Okay, nice. And just like before, we can select an image. It gives us a recommendation as well, which is pretty great, and you can generate it. All right, here's another variation that it created. Okay, so this was a quick overview of the MiniMax agent. It's one of the most powerful agentic system built on top of a very powerful open source model. It manages the full software development cycle for you. Not only it can build applications for you, but it's able to test them using this multi-agent framework, which is pretty great. So I'll highly recommend to check them out. Details are going to be in the video description. Anyways, I hope you found this video useful. Thanks for watching. And as always, see you in the next one.